pretty important video to a lot of you watching is we're going to be looking at what can go wrong when you're setting up a sniper site and how to fix it, obviously as well, and as quickly and as easily as possible. Okay, so we're going to start out with some general tips, and then which is kind of applies to the whole thing and throughout your sniping forever, and then we're going to be talking about some more specific problems that you might have, so you're not ranking or you're not getting the conversions you want. Okay, so the first big general tip is that sniping is a very fine-tuned process. Now, you might have noticed when you were going through the course that Google Sniper is a very specific course. You know, I say do this, do that, and do it in exactly this fashion. Okay, you might have bought courses in the past which are very general. Personally, I dislike those courses, which is one reason I made Google Sniper like that, to make it as easy to follow as possible. But also because there's not a whole lot of margin for error. Okay, if you want these sniper sites to succeed, if you want to build one-page sites that rank in the search engines, you know, that rank #1 in the search engines for these fairly competitive keywords, and get the conversions that I want, which is really, you know, incredible. I don't think any other system achieves that that's out there at the moment. Such good income from such little work. Then you have to do it in this exact way, really. Now, I've built a lot of these sites, and so I've really got the process down to a science. Okay, so it's a fine-tuned process and can take, you know, it might take a few attempts to get it just right. Now, my biggest tip for doing that is to follow the course as closely as possible. One example is when I did the initial release, you know, a guy came to me and he built some sites, and one of them wasn't doing so well, and he didn't even have the keyword in the domain name. The domain name was completely unrelated to the keyword. It was within the niche, but it wasn't the keyword. So don't expect to rank, for example, if you don't have the keyword and domain, because that is essential. That's so important. And really, there's everything in the course. Everything's in there for a reason. You know, even the YouTube video, yes, the YouTube video, you know, make it. Just follow the course as closely as possible. The area where there is flexibility are the keyword figures, and also, before I forget, is on the post count, which we're going to cover in a minute, but certainly sometimes I make more than 3 posts. That's just the average site. Okay, if it's not ranking, I'll make some more, and if it's a really uncompetitive keyword, you might get away with 2. But certainly always make 2, never make just 1 post, okay? Okay, so the keyword figures are only a guide, obviously. When I use the under 7,000 competitors rule, okay, when you type the phrase in quotes into Google, the reality is that's only the sniff test, okay? I mentioned it several times in the guide, hopefully it was clear that that's only the sniff test. The real important part is the actual quality of the competition on the first page, rather than you know, the number of competitors. The reality is that I have some sniper sites that are ranking extremely well for keywords with as many as, you know, 35,000 competitors. Okay, and that's the exact same site that I'm talking about. What matters most is the quality of the first page of the competition. So just as a quick reminder, what you're looking for there is a load of page rank 0 sites, you know, no big authority sites, no WikiHows, no Abouts, certainly no Wikipedias, you know, no huge authority sites within the niche that get a ton of traffic and have thousands of pages. You know, you're looking for sort of unprofessional sites that really aren't making the most of their situation, okay? Or you're looking for other sniper sites. That's always a great sign, okay? But do remember that the keyword figures are only a guide. And the other key point here is that the search volume. Okay, I get a lot of people asking me, what if I found a great keyword but it's only got 1,500 searches a month? Well, by all means, go for it. If it's a buying keyword, that would be you know, incredible. If that was for a product name or something like that and you were #1, you would still make an absolute fortune from that site. Basically, the search volume count is just what I go for. So I tend to go around 2,000 to 3,000 as my minimum. But that's just because I'd prefer to keep looking for another keyword. To be honest, if you're prepared to make less per site, if you're prepared to maybe just make, this is very loose figures, by the way, you may make $1,000 a month from a site with only 100 visits a month. You don't really know, but let's just pretend for this example, if you're happy to just make $200 a month from a site, then by all means go for a keyword that only has 500 searches a month or 1,000 searches a month rather than 3,000. It really doesn't matter. What does matter and what's important to know is that the search volume will directly influence how much money you do make, but you can go as low as you want. It's completely up to you. Okay, the 3,000 figure is just something I came up with. And the final one is, for the love of God, please take your time with your site, okay, particularly your first one. Don't rush it. When you've built a few, yes, you will be building them in literally, a couple of hours flat. But please take your time. Don't rush the site. It's going to take a while to get this process down. Certainly when you're writing your first, pre-sale posts and your review copy and stuff like that, it may take you, a good while to get it right. Okay, particularly if you've never really done much copywriting before. So don't worry if it's taking you a bit longer, and really, just take your time with it. It's better to have your site work than to rush it, build 5 sites, and have none of them ranking, because it is a fine-tuned process and everything. Everything really has to be, 100% for it all to work, and for it to deliver the results that I've promised you and the results that you want to achieve. Okay, so now let's talk about common problems and how to fix them. So these are basically the 2 main problems that you can have with a sniper site, and they are, conversions and traffic. So you're either not converting as many visitors as you should be, and you're getting some decent traffic, but you're not making as much money as you want to out of a site, or you're just not getting enough traffic, full stop. Okay, and we're going to look at them both. Both are easy to fix. Both will require a bit of time. But yeah, we're going to look at them both now. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about not converting. So you're getting enough traffic, but you're not converting enough of that traffic into buyers. That's basically the problem. Okay. So let's say you're getting 1,000 visitors a month. You want to be achieving a 5% conversion rate, and that would mean 50. That would mean 50 sales, and let's say you're only getting, 10 or something like that. Okay. So let's talk about how to fix that then. So the first rule is the 150 hops rule. Now have 150 rather than a number lower than that, because you never know with traffic. You could, your first 150 hops, or well, not your first 150 because that's the rule, but let's say your first 100 hops, your first 50 hops, they might be from dodgy traffic. Some of them are certainly going to be from you testing your own affiliate links, possibly your friends, people that aren't going to buy, that kind of thing. Basically, the more data you have, the more you're going to know about what your actual conversion rate is. So as a minimum, I would send no less than 150 hops. Okay. Now, if you sent over 150 hops and not sold anything, and I mean not sent one sale, so that means when you go to ClickBank and you go to your analytics, that 150 people have clicked your affiliate link and you haven't had a single buy. Okay, first of all, I would actually check your affiliate link to make sure that's working, and then I would suggest immediately changing product. Okay, either change it for a different one in your niche, which is hopefully available. If you've chosen, one of the good niches, they usually have multiple products in them, or I would consider possibly changing it around and promoting something else from another network, which we're going to talk about in another video, which is moving beyond ClickBank. Okay, because there is a lot of money to be made, not just on ClickBank. But then let's say you make one sale at 150 hops. That's a pretty poor conversion rate. I would probably then certainly consider changing that product around if there's another one in the niche, Even if you're doing really well, it is definitely worth testing. I mean, it's simple enough. You generally just have to change around a couple of things in your copy. A few words where you mention the product, and also, of course, the affiliate links themselves. And that's not, you should always really test that, because you never know, you might be getting a 10% conversion rate, you switch products and suddenly you're getting a 20% conversion rate and your site's making twice as much money. You never do know these things until you test. I hate testing as well. I know it's a bit of a pain, but it's certainly worth it. Okay, so the first step is possibly changing product. The second step is reconsidering your review and the approach you've taken. Okay, so first of all, reconsider your copy. Is it really that good? If it's not that good and you're not that good at writing copy, feel free to give someone general instructions on what you want. So the keyword densities, the fact that you want the keyword mentioned this many times, the LSI keywords and stuff like that, or possibly even give them the LSI keywords and everything and tell them to include them, and forward it over to a professional copywriter or article writer. You could probably get these posts written for about $5 each. So certainly consider that if you really can't write for a toffee. and if you can write, just take a look at it anyway. Maybe you haven't written it that well, maybe it's not grabbing people. A good place to start is by looking at your analytics page. Okay, so if you've installed Google Analytics, or you've got the standard one that came with your web hosting, AW Stats or something like that, check, see when your visitors are leaving. If your visitors are leaving in 10 seconds, then before 10 seconds, then that probably means that the top of your page needs some work. Either you're trying to sell something, or you're doing the number one mistake that I talk about, which is you're not giving the visitor what they want and what they were searching for when they first arrive at your site. The other thing to consider is your approach. Maybe you've done a straight up review or a story, and actually a how-to would work better here, and you would entice more people to actually start reading, because once they start reading, once they're involved in your site, chances are they're going to stay for a while and certainly have a good look around. Now, I'm not going to talk about this loads here, because there is actually a pre-selling video this month as well, so definitely go and check that out, and I'm going into huge detail about all of this and really build on some of the stuff we already talked about in the course. Okay, so the second one is not ranking. Okay, basically you're not getting traffic. Now this is the worst problem really, because the conversions can certainly be tweaked very easily because you've got the traffic to play with, but this one can be a bit of a pain in the butt. And the first thing I want to say is the reality is, if a site's taken me a couple of hours to build and it is nowhere to be seen on Google, I mean within the first 3 pages after about a month or something. Oh yeah, a quick thing I should note here, sorry to go off on a tangent, is that when you've created your site, you should certainly wait a few weeks before reading too much into it. Let's say you're not ranking straight away, don't